Hey guys, SGT here, and I thought it was very important today to get Susanne Posel back on the line to talk about so many things, including imminent bank runs and bank failures. Susanne, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Jim Willie has a piece out, Susanne, saying that Morgan Stanley faces imminent failure and ruin, and he's saying we may see the first private stock account thefts. How do you think this plays into the recent U.S. Court of Appeals ruling with Sentinel Group?
Well, this directly plays into it. The ruling was that Bank of New York Mellon would have first in line of creditors for segregated funds above the customers who were stolen from before Sentinel went under. They sold $500 million of customer segregated funds before they went belly up. And so Bank of Mellon won to be first in line of creditors. So if a bank is insolvent or under duress or in bankruptcy, they are allowed by law now to allocate customer segregated funds or customer funds to pay off their loans or their debts or anything that they owe. And a bank, right now a bank is given two definitions. Our banks are considered brokerages, like Sentinel Management Group was a brokerage, but our financial institutions are defined that way as well because they play on the stock market. And the second definition is a depository institution because we deposit our money into them. So if Morgan Stanley is going under, then if you have money in Morgan Stanley, regardless of how you have it, whether it's an investment or an actual account with them where you keep your money is now up for grabs to them, and they don't have to pay it back. Once you deposit money into a bank, regardless of the form in which you deposited it or the type of account that you have with that bank now has your money. They own it. It's in their possession. And with the Sentinel ruling, they don't have to pay you back if they use it to pay off their debts or if they play it on the stock market and lose it. This means that if you have money in a bank account in any bank, including the small banks, if you have a bank account even in your local credit union, you don't even have to have a bank account in one of these mega banks. Any bank is not being insured by the FDIC. No bank is being insured by the FDIC. No credit union is being insured by the FDIC. Your account, regardless of what type of account it is, if you have any kind of funds deposited into any brokerage or any banking institution, they can allocate it for payment of under any duress or any bankruptcy where they owe money. And just to let your listeners know, Bank of America since 2010, as well as Citigroup, have been selling off their non-core assets. That is something that you do when you're insolvent. And it's just a matter of time before they start using customer segregated or customer secured funds in order to do so.
Yeah, and as we know, all of these banks have been on a lifeline via really the Federal Reserve and TARP bailouts since 2008. Many of those among us call them the walking dead banks. Jim Willie's been saying that for a very long time. You write in your article, customer deposits are property of the bank. Because of this Sentinel ruling, the ruling gives banks the right to commingle customer funds with their own funds, and no crime can be committed for the use of customer deposited money based on this ruling. I've heard other pundits say that this ruling was put into place now because the collapse is coming, and the banks really wanted to grandfather themselves. They wanted to give themselves legal precedent to steal customer funds. It seems like there is no recourse for the people other than what you're saying, which is to take your money out now while you still can.
Exactly. I had some insiders from major banks and from credit unions and small banks tell me that the deposit withdrawal procedures have changed dramatically. And this was before the ruling came down. It's almost as if, like you said, they knew that this was going to happen. When they shortened the amount of money that you can take out in the ATM, and Chase Bank has done this, and several local banks and credit unions have been doing this as well, forcing the customer to come into the bank to get the rest of their money. So if you want $300 and you can only take out $200 at your ATM, you have to come into the bank for the other $100. Once you do that, they interrogate you. Why do you need this money? Why can't you pay with a debit card? Why can't you write a check? I can't give you the money. I can't give you the funds. We can't secure it. We'll have to wait a day or two. I'll give you an example. A customer at a bank had $30,000 in her account, She was taking out $20,000 in order to pay for a car for her 16-year-old son. And the bank told her that they couldn't take out $20,000 in cash. They would have to wait a couple of days to secure the funds, even though taking out that money would not have broken her account. She still would have had $10,000 in her account. And this is a way that the banks are trying to keep us from getting our cash. They know that if we did a run on the bank, there isn't enough physical printed money in order to satisfy the amount of digital money is on their computer screens. They're trying to keep us from doing what happened in 1928, or 1929 rather, when people physically went into their bank and withdrew the cash.
Sure. I used to know this fact like the back of my hand. I'll get the percentage wrong now, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of only 1% to 2% of all outstanding ones and zeros in circulation is represented in physical cash. And I've made the point before, Susanne, in other videos, that if that's the case, can you imagine how precious an ounce of physical silver or gold is? Because the public at large, 99% or more of the public at large, has no physical precious metals and really has no assets of value other than what they see in their paper accounts, be it IRAs, 401ks, pensions, all of which are at risk by this criminal system.
That's true. It is important to have some monetary instrument that is of value that we would be able to trade with in the imminent event of the dollar collapsing. But it's also important to think about other avenues of trade. Seeds are going to become important. When they shut down the banking industry and they shut down the U.S. dollar, we're going to see trucks stop delivering to our cities. Water is going to be important. Any survival apparatus that you would need, you could then use as trade in order to get things that you need from somebody else.
That's right.
We need to think in those terms as well. If you have seeds that are non-GMO and that aren't Terminator seeds, you could trade with somebody who needs that in order to grow food, because at this point we're going to be under survival mode. This ties into martial law. This ties into why they're going to be locking down the country, because people are going to freak out.
Let's bridge over then to the PSYOPs that we're seeing nationwide, in which I think they're preparing us, and well, you're saying that they're preparing us in your latest article, Urban Warfare Drills, PSYOP Acclimating Americans to Military on U.S. Streets. All of this, I think, ties in together, Susanne. We're seeing all signs of this military apparatus being turned around or being readied to be turned around on the people, I think, as a reaction to a complete and total financial collapse, which will devastate the average American. Why don't you tell us about these urban warfare drills and what you're making of them? What do you make of those?
Well, let's go back to Rex 84 in the 1980s, and every document subsequent, every manual subsequent since then. These urban warfare drills. These are war games. If you want to practice how to take a city down, the RAND Corporation wrote a document called Smart Streets. And it's hyperlinked in one of my articles about the tactical operations for domestic insurrection. That's the title of the article. And if you read this document, they're telling the military industrial complex how to lock down our cities. Our cities are very precarious. It's not like cities in other countries. They're training right now how to lock down cities. And in that article, I referenced the fact that I'd had a lot of readers writing to me anonymously saying that they were seeing a lot of Russians at firing ranges practicing, and they had seen them in Walmart. There's a YouTube video of them buying supplies, getting into these white unmarked vans that we've heard about a lot. The Russian and the U.S. Air Force have admitted that they are training. Not only domestically here in the United States, but also in Russia, in warfare drills. So we're seeing Russian troops here in the United States. Now, this goes back to what Alex Jones was talking about, I think, about a month ago, where he posted a video of urban warfare drills between our United States military and the Polish military. So we've got foreign troops practicing on our soil with our own military in urban warfare drills. We're seeing tactical operations and war games being played out in our own cities this is not arbitrary. They have lots of land allocated to perform training operations if they want to. They're doing it in the street because they're about to actually lock down the country, and they want to make sure that they can actually do what they're trying to do, which is roll out the military and be able to control the population, lock down the cities simultaneously, and be successful.
You know what? I think what's occurring to me as we're having this conversation, and so much to digest, Susanne, we're all seeing this happen right before our eyes, right? And it's very easy to slip into denial. It's very easy to say, this is ludicrous. They couldn't possibly lock down all the cities. Even if they wanted to, why would they try? If they're going to steal the money, they're going to steal the money. What's the point in locking down the cities? And I think as I read this Jim Willey article, and he's talking about the complete and total theft of pensions and 401ks and IRAs, you are going to see such rage when people realize what's happened. Once they realize it's too late and it's gone, it's all gone, like that South Park clip, it's gone, it's all gone. Once people realize it's gone and they've got nothing, there is going to be rage in these cities and people are going to lose it. Like Salente says, when you got nothing else to lose, you lose it.
Right. We have a phenomenon in America, and it has a psychological term. It's called cognitive dissonance. When we hear something that is completely out of our range of possibility, and, in our brain, in our cognitive thinking, we just shut off. We just shut down. We put a wall up. Nope, can't possibly be true. I'm going to deny it. And the other phenomenon that we've been trained socially is, it didn't happen to me. It's not happening. Well, Americans are going to wake up, and their bank account is going to be siphoned out. They're not going to have anything to work with. They're not going to have any supplies. The only way that we can protect ourselves is to get our money out of the bank.
Thanks for watching Part 1. Don't miss Part 2. And please check out my new website, thelibertymill.com. Real news from the very best websites in the world, 24/7. Thanks for watching.